wake up, sip your first coffee, and feel fine. Yet 90 seconds ago, your brain may have suffered a silent stroke precursor. It strikes 1 in 4 seniors, and tonight's bedtime habit could decide if it hits you next. Let me show you how. I'm Dr. Bill Harrison, neurologist and stroke specialist, and I'm shocked at how many of my patients over 60 are unknowingly triggering stroke risk with one simple habit they do every single night. Most people think it's harmless, even healthy. But what I discovered in my neurology practice will change how you think about your evening routine forever. While smoking increases stroke risk by 25%, this habit can spike it by up to 40% overnight. What you're about to learn has helped hundreds of my patients dramatically lower their stroke risk. And it starts with understanding one evening habit that's more dangerous than smoking. If you're concerned about protecting your brain as you age, hit that subscribe button for inspired living right now. Today, we're going to uncover the shocking evening habit that's silently raising stroke risk overnight. Plus, I'll share the simple, brain-smart evening protocol that can cut your risk by up to 40%. But first, let me tell you about something that happened in my office just last week that completely changed how I think about stroke prevention. Linda walked into my office looking confused and slightly embarrassed. She's 72, sharp as a tack, exercises regularly, eats well, takes her medications faithfully. But 3 mornings that week, she'd woken up with what she described as brain fog, so thick she couldn't remember her grandchildren's names for several minutes. Her family was worried, she was terrified, and honestly, so was I. Her scans and blood work looked perfect. Then she mentioned something that made my stomach drop, something that millions of seniors do every single night thinking it's good for them, something that was literally setting her brain up for failure while she slept. When we changed this one habit, her morning clarity returned within just 4 days. But before I tell you what that habit was, I need you to understand why your evening routine matters more for stroke prevention than almost anything else you do during the day. Here's what most people don't know about stroke risk. Your brain doesn't just randomly decide to have a stroke at 2 in the afternoon. Research from the American Heart Association shows that strokes peak between 6 a.m. and noon, with the highest risk occurring in those first 2 hours after waking. Your brain is most vulnerable when you're transitioning from sleep to wake. But here's the part that will surprise you. What happens in the 12 hours before that morning wake-up determines whether your brain can handle that transition safely. During sleep, your brain goes through a complex process of cleaning itself, regulating blood flow, and preparing for the demands of the next day. But certain evening habits can sabotage this entire process, leaving your brain defenseless when morning comes. The habit I'm about to reveal doesn't just affect your sleep quality, it fundamentally changes how blood flows to your brain overnight. And for those over 60, whose blood vessels are already less flexible, this habit can turn a normal night's sleep into 8 hours of silent brain damage. So, what was Linda doing every night that was putting her brain at risk? She was taking her daily medications with a large glass of water right before bed, then drinking another glass because she'd heard staying hydrated was important. Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't staying hydrated supposed to be good for you? Absolutely. But here's what Linda and millions of other seniors don't realize. The timing of when you hydrate can be the difference between protecting your brain and putting it in danger. When you drink large amounts of fluid in the 2 hours before bed, especially if you're on common medications like blood pressure pills or diuretics, you're setting up what I call the midnight blood pressure roller coaster. Here's exactly what happens. Your kidneys start working overtime to process all that fluid. Your blood pressure drops as your body shunts blood to your kidneys. Then, a few hours later, your body starts releasing stress hormones to bring your blood pressure back up. If you track your blood pressure at home, type BP in the comments, because this next part will shock you. This creates wild swings in blood pressure throughout the night, exactly when your brain is most vulnerable. For Linda, those morning episodes of confusion weren't random. They were happening because her brain was struggling to get adequate blood flow after hours of pressure fluctuations. She was essentially giving herself mini strokes while she slept, and she had no idea. Linda isn't alone. In my practice, I've seen dozens of cases where well-meaning evening hydration habits were secretly sabotaging brain health. Robert, 68 years old, drank a full water bottle before bed and started having dizzy spells every morning. Patricia, 74 years old, combined evening medications with herbal tea and water, then began having memory lapses her daughter feared was dementia. What all these patients had in common was that they were following advice that sounds perfectly reasonable. Drink plenty of water, take your medications as prescribed, stay hydrated, but nobody had explained to them that the timing of these healthy habits could turn them dangerous. The research backs this up. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Medicine in 2022 found that seniors who consumed more than 16 ounces of fluid in the 2 hours before bed had a 37% higher risk of overnight blood pressure instability. And blood pressure instability during sleep is one of the strongest predictors of morning stroke risk. So what's the solution? Do you just accept dehydration? Absolutely not. The answer is what I call the Brain Smart Evening Protocol, and it's simpler than you think. The key is understanding that your brain needs steady, consistent blood flow overnight, not the wild fluctuations that come from late evening fluid loading. Here's the 3-step protocol I recommend to my patients, and what transformed Linda's mornings. Step 1. Finish your major hydration for the day by 6 p.m. This means getting most of your daily fluid intake completed before dinner. If you're someone who needs to take evening medications, that's fine, but take them with just a small sip of water, not a full glass. Step 2. If you're on medications that affect fluid balance, like diuretics or blood pressure medications, talk to your doctor about timing. Many of these work better when taken in the morning anyway, and switching the timing can eliminate the overnight blood pressure roller coaster entirely. Step 3. Create what I call a hydration taper. After 8 p.m., limit yourself to no more than 90 milliliters or 3 ounces total. Instead of drinking large amounts right before bed, have small sips if you're thirsty, but think of the 2 hours before sleep as your brain's preparation time. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is something that shocked even me as a neurologist. Even if you hate herbal tea, you'll want to hear this one interaction that could be happening in your medicine cabinet right now. The second part of Linda's story reveals something even more important. When we looked at what she was drinking in those evening hours, we discovered she was having chamomile tea, which seems innocent enough. But chamomile tea has mild blood-thinning properties. Combined with her evening aspirin and the blood pressure fluctuations from fluid loading, she was unknowingly creating a perfect storm for brain bleeding risk. This is what I call the compound effect. Multiple seemingly healthy habits that become dangerous when combined. And it's happening in millions of households every night. Here's what most seniors don't realize about evening beverages. Herbal teas like peppermint, ginseng, and valerian, even the ones marketed for sleep, can interact with common medications in ways that affect blood clotting and blood pressure. Alcohol, even a small glass of wine with dinner, can amplify the blood pressure effects of late evening hydration. Even warm milk, which many people use as a sleep aid, can affect how your body processes certain heart medications. The solution isn't to eliminate these entirely. It's to understand the timing and combinations that work with your body instead of against it. For Linda, we shifted her chamomile tea to mid-afternoon, moved her aspirin to morning with breakfast, and created a simple evening routine that supports her brain instead of stressing it. The results were immediate and dramatic. Here's the complete Brain Smart evening protocol that I now recommend to all my patients over 60. Starting at 6 p.m., switch to what I call maintenance hydration. This means small sips only when truly thirsty, no more than 3 ounces total between 6 p.m. and bedtime. If you take evening medications, take them at least 90 minutes before you plan to sleep, and only with the minimal water needed to swallow them comfortably. Replace evening fluid loading with what I call brain prep activities. Light stretching, reading, or gentle meditation. These activities support healthy blood flow without creating the pressure fluctuations that stress your brain. If you're someone who wakes up feeling dehydrated, the solution isn't more evening fluids, it's better daytime hydration. Most seniors are actually chronically underhydrated during the day and trying to compensate at night, which creates the worst possible scenario for brain health. Here's something that might surprise you. The feeling of morning thirst isn't necessarily a sign that you need more evening fluids. It's often a sign that your body has been working hard overnight to process excess evening fluids, leaving you feeling depleted. When my patients follow this protocol correctly, they report not just better morning clarity, but improved sleep quality, fewer middle-of-the-night bathroom trips, and more stable energy throughout the day. Now I want you to participate in a quick assessment. I'm going to share 5 warning signs that your evening hydration habits might be affecting your brain. As I go through each one, think about which one you notice most, then comment that number below. Number 1, morning brain fog that clears up after an hour or 2 of being awake. This often indicates overnight blood pressure fluctuations that resolved once your body fully woke up. Number 2, dizziness or lightheadedness when you first stand up in the morning. This can signal that your blood pressure dropped too low during the night. Number 3, frequent nighttime urination that disrupts your sleep. Interrupted sleep prevents your brain from completing its essential overnight maintenance. Number 4, morning headaches that you can't explain. These often result from blood pressure swings caused by evening fluid loading. Number 5, word-finding difficulties or memory lapses that are worse in the morning and improve as the day goes on. This pattern suggests your brain isn't getting optimal blood flow during the transition from sleep to wake. Which of these 5 warning signs do you notice most? Comment that number below. If any of these sound familiar, you're not imagining things, and you're not just getting older. Your brain is trying to tell you that something about your evening routine needs to change. Remember Linda, the patient I told you about at the beginning? 3 months after implementing the Brain Smart Evening Protocol, she told me something that gave me chills. She said, "Doctor, I feel like I got my brain back. The morning confusion is completely gone. I wake up clear and ready for the day. I had no idea that something as simple as when I drank water could make such a difference. That's the power of understanding how your daily habits affect your brain health. Small changes in timing can create massive improvements in how your brain functions and how protected you are from stroke. Your evening routine is like a dress rehearsal for how your brain will perform the next morning. When you get it right, you're setting yourself up for mental clarity, stable blood pressure, and a dramatically lower stroke risk. Here's what I want you to do right now. Look at your evening routine over the past week. Are you doing large amounts of fluid loading in those crucial 2 hours before bed? Are you combining evening hydration with medications or supplements that might amplify the effects? If so, you now have the knowledge to make changes that could literally save your brain. If this video gave you even one insight that could protect your brain, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to Inspired Living for more life-saving health strategies. Leave a comment below and tell me, have you noticed any of these morning warning signs? What changes are you going to make to your evening routine? Your story might help someone else recognize patterns they hadn't noticed before. Remember, stroke prevention isn't about dramatic life changes. It's about understanding the subtle ways your daily habits affect your brain health. You have more control than you think. This information is for educational purposes only and is not intended to replace professional medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making changes to your medication timing or if you experience any concerning symptoms. Remember this simple mantra: sip smart, sleep smart, save your brain.